Hi, I'm Rowan from PhysioFit, and during the lockdown we're offering physiotherapy video consultations. Many of the people who've been contacting us are experiencing back pain. So I've produced a program of targeted back exercises and stretches which you can try at home yourself, which should help most back conditions, and I hope they work for you. So the first thing I want you to do when you come down and onto your back is just pause for a moment before you start exercising and take a few deep breaths. So this actually has the effect of calming down your nervous system and will make it more comfortable for you to complete the exercises. So I want you to think of the body heavy, resting on the floor and supported, and take a nice deep breath into the back of your rib cage and out again. Really want you to feel your lower ribs expanding and gently pressing into the floor behind you. Your breastbone lifting and dropping again, and the sides of your rib cage expanding outwards. Now, after you've finished a cycle of 3 to 5 nice breaths, you're feeling nice and relaxed into the floor and your body feels nice and heavy, I want you to place your hands on the sides of your pelvis so you can feel the pelvic bones either side. We're going to do a movement called a pelvic tilt, which involves rolling the pelvis towards you and flattening the lower back into the floor so that you feel your tailbone turn and lift off the floor very gently. Then you're going to relax the tailbone and allow the pelvis to rotate and tilt away from you so that your lower back arches. It's a small movement. So you're going to turn the pelvis in towards you, let the lower back flatten, the tailbone lift a little bit, and then rotate the pelvis away from you, tilting the tailbone down, letting the lower back arch. You might keep this movement quite small to begin with, so it's comfortable, and then build up kind of how far you lift the tailbone, how much you flatten the back or arch the back as you're moving. And you should just feel your pelvis tilting towards you, the tailbone lift and tilt away, the lower back arch. You're going to repeat a cycle of 5 to 10 repetitions, gradually increasing the range that you're moving through. Then pause back there to finish. Now open your arms out to the side in a cross and bring your feet and knees together. Going to start to tilt the pelvis over to one side, so I'm taking my weight over to the left side of my pelvis, letting the knees follow that movement, so one foot ends up on top of the other, and my pelvis is tilting and rolling the spine with it. I'm going to turn and look over my right shoulder, so I'm just feeling a spine stretch here down the side of my body. Take a breath in, and then roll your rib cage kind of hoop by hoop back down to the floor, then your waist, and gradually then tilt the weight back into the pelvis so it rests back in the middle again. Send your weight over to the right side of the pelvis, the legs one on top of each other. Gradually peel the pelvis and the waist, the rib cage off the floor and turn your head away. Take a breath in and roll the rib cage back on down to the floor, taking your waist and your pelvis with you, your knees kind of following like a dead weight really back to the middle. You might keep this movement small to begin with, and that's absolutely fine. You can make the range of movement a little smaller than I'm doing, and then gradually, as it feels more comfortable, taking it a little bit further into range as you ease things out. And then breathe out to roll back in. I'm going to complete this movement about 5 to 10 repetitions to each side. Now we're going to stretch out through the upper back and shoulders. So we're going to take a breath in to prepare. As you breathe out, bring your hands up and overhead, but think of the lower ribs as sinking down into the floor, so you're not arching the upper back. You really open through the armpits and then draw the arms around to the side to spread your chest muscles and back down to your hips again. Take a breath in, feeling the lower ribs drop and spread on the floor underneath you. And then bring the hands as you breathe out round and back down to your hips again. So we're going to take a breath in, lower ribs dropping, and bring the hands around. And 2 more times. So we're going to complete a cycle of 5 repetitions in total. It should feel really nice and comfortable for your body. And then bring your hands back down and leave them there by your hips to finish. Okay, now we're going to stretch out a little bit around the hips as well. I want you to pick up one leg and just bring your hands around your knees and just gently bring that knee in towards you, a comfortable range. You're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, slide your opposite leg away from you along the floor until you feel there's a nice stretch at the front of your hip there, and that sort of stretch, and press gently into that movement. Good. You're going to hold that stretch for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then slide your left leg back in, release the right leg, lower that foot back down to the floor, step into the right leg, so you're really supporting your weight on that leg as the left leg travels in. Draw that knee in a kind of comfortable distance for you till you feel a stretch around the back of the left hip, and slide the right leg away long along the floor until you feel the front of the hip really open there. Try to let the thigh bone really drop down to the floor and almost reach along the floor away from you with that leg. Good. When you're ready, slide that foot back on in towards you and place your weight back into the right foot and lower your left foot down. You're going to switch over and repeat about 5 repetitions on each leg. Now, come onto all fours. Bring your knees underneath your hips and your hands underneath your shoulders. And in this position, I'm really lengthening through the arms to get the sense that I am lifting the rib cage up and in contact with underneath my shoulder blades, the back of my neck nice and long there. My sit bones are pointing directly out and behind me, spreading my fingers there on the floor to keep a good base of support. I'm going to start by again turning the tailbone underneath and really opening through the lower back. Feeling that curve gently move up my spine until I can look underneath and reach through my hands to stretch the upper back too. Now, from the sit bones, letting the tailbone turn and the pelvis rotate so my lower back goes into an arch. Draw your shoulder blades back as you travel forward with the breastbone and arch. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, draw the sit bones around and underneath, moving the pelvis under, opening the lower back joints. Press through your hands to stretch the upper back. Let the head look down and underneath you. And then turn the tailbone again, rotating and finding that kind of curve in the lower back, lifting the breastbone and the head up last. Again, you might start with a smaller range of movement that I'm showing you here and gradually build up the range that you work into, and that's absolutely fine. Move within a comfort zone is the key, and then gradually you'll find that as you keep going, it should get easier and easier, and you might find that you can get a bigger range of movement and just listen to what your body is telling you. Going to follow that for about, again, 5 to 10 repetitions. And opening the shoulders and then finish on all fours. Now, stay on all fours for the next exercise. I want you to take your hands over to the left side of your mat and look around your shoulder so you side bend through the spine. Good. Take your tailbone over to that side a little bit as well. And then release the tailbone, bring your hands back to the middle, and then walk over to the right side of your mat. Take your tailbone to the right and look around your right shoulder. And then release that side bend, bring your hands on back to the middle. You're going to travel over to the left-hand side of your mat again. Take the tailbone to the left and look around your shoulder. And then release your tailbone, walk your hands back to the middle and travel over to the right. Shoulders come round, hips come round, and roll back to the middle and release. When that starts to feel a bit easier, you can make the movement slightly bigger by bringing the feet into it as well. So this time I'm going to take my hands over to the left side of my mat, hips across 2, and slide my feet into the movement, which increases the stretch a bit more. And then uncurl everything. Walk my hands over to the right side of my mat. Look around the right shoulder, hips to the right, feet to the right. And roll back to the middle. It's really nice to pause at the end of these movements each time and take a breath in. And then breathe out to release the stretch and travel to the other side. Pause and breathe in. And then release the stretch and travel back to the other side. Finish off by walking your hands a little further forward and then dropping back gently through your hips. Allow your pelvis to drop underneath and just sink into a child pose stretch there for a moment and take a few nice deep breaths into the back of your rib cage. Okay, so that's the program, and I'd recommend doing it twice a day, maybe mid-morning and mid-afternoon, in the order that I've shown you, 5 to 10 repetitions of each exercise, moving within a comfort zone and maybe gradually building up the range of movement that you do. If you have any questions at all, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. And if you would like to arrange a physiotherapy video consultation, then our details are below.